Good morning and welcome in everyone. As we get into this morning's update, I'd like to go over a couple different areas that I think are the most important here in this early trading session as we're waiting for the US and the West Coast to officially wake up. It's 7:57 a.m. on the East Coast, which means it's only 4:57 a.m. On the Pacific Standard Time over on the West Coast. We often look for signals in the early morning that things are going one direction or the other. It seems like right now we're trying to push past this short-term resistance, and I think one of the biggest gateways here would be Ethereum. Will Ethereum get rejected here after put on a short reversal in the daily? Will this rising wedge resistance keep breaking us down, or is that an inverse head and shoulders with a golden cross in the daily where the 20s cross the 200 now, showing support? And are we just moments away from a nice little breakout here? That's what we have to pay attention to, and that's going to be the optic here in the next couple of days. Do we go farther down? Does Bitcoin come all the way down here on a nice little, I suppose you could say, ABC correction? And does it come all the way down to this 90K area, 89, 90K, and form this inverse head and shoulders? That's what I am looking at very closely. Very, very closely. We'll see if this pans out. We're looking at XRP in the sense that we had some nice closes yesterday, but we're not out of the woods by any means. Right now we're bouncing out of this resistance, and in real time it continues to move down. When it was back here, it was higher up. You were up as high as 240, 234 back here, and then higher when you go farther. Now in current terms, you're right around $2.18 that you're trying to stay over. We're clearly over that right now, but we haven't made any real noise to the upside. We bounced off the 200-day, which is very important. And now if we can hold this support structure, the next big area is going to be 265. That's the pivot point over the top. We got double rejected there before, just a couple of weeks ago. And then above that, you've got obviously higher levels. In between, you've got that 242 mid-tier resistance, so we'll see how that reacts. But right now, we're, for lack of better words, or a lack of a better terminology, we're in no man's land here. We are officially in no man's land because we don't know if we're going to bounce out of here. We don't know if we're going to break down. If I had to guess, I would say a lot of these are going to probably break down. Like we talked about data yesterday. And I'm not convinced that this is the area that it's going to end up pushing past and hold. But we'll see, because in the daily we had some nice pushes up yesterday. However, they're starting to fade down here. So we'll see in a real sense here of exactly what's going on. Are these going to hold these little golden crosses in the shorter time frame? Because we're starting to see this across the board this morning. Golden cross in the 30, the 45, the 50s cross the 200 now in the 30 for data. So it could be a short-term trend reversal here. It came up and filled that technical move up we talked about yesterday. We figured even if it was bearish, it would at least come up here and finish this move. And it did. It bounced from 1377 and now it's up. It came up to 1.5. And now it's starting to see if we can hold this consolidation. If it falls below that 144 level, that's pretty, that would be the sign that it's probably going to break down. So you got to use a lot of caution here this morning. A lot of caution on a lot of this. Filecoin's the same way. It's showing signs of a possible short-term reversal as it's trying in the 45 to build this. 30-minute, it's already built. For all intents and purposes, this golden cross. Now we're going to try to see if it holds or if this was just a short-term movement that fades out. We're right up at the resistance area, so there's a lot going on here. A lot going on here. I still have the feeling in the back of my head that Bitcoin could go down to that 99K, so even if I'm in a short-term position, I have very small levels where I'm liquidating out, which would cost me very little money. But I'm not convinced right now that we've done this short-term reversal. Bitcoin, Ethereum is going to be a big gatekeeper here, like I've been saying. Ethereum briefly came over 2,600. And for this to play out, we need this rising channel. This rising wedge to break back within. Right now, we're at that resistance point. So this is literally no man's land. If I was looking at this and I was afraid, I wouldn't do anything. However, I've looked at it in a sense that, hey, there's 1 or 2% gaps here where if it falls below on Bitunix, it'll cost me nothing basically to sell out and then rebuy back in when it falls. So I'm not too worried about it right now. I want to see if we do make some kind of parabolic spike here. I want to see if Ethereum breaks up, but at the same time, we know what we've been charting with Bitcoin. That Bitcoin very well, if this fails, is going to drop down here. And that's going to be about a $10,000, what is that? From here, about a $14,000 drop. So if Bitcoin drops here, the rest of them are going to go with it. That's a 15% drop. So I could see the whole market doing that. That's why when we were on yesterday, even when I showed how to do it on Bitunix in the live with Filecoin and data, I showed if it breaks below these numbers, and it was very close to where I bought, that you're not going to ride them all the way down. You're going to sell it. And for me, I even said yesterday, hey, I don't mind showing everybody how to do this, but I'm not going to be sitting through it for these big drops. So if it reverses back the small little spot, there's no reason for me to hold it. Like, this is the make it or break it line. If it comes up here and breaks it and holds it, fantastic. If not, it's going to end up falling back towards 242. And then likely, you don't know, because if this pattern invalidates itself, then you start talking about coming to $1.57. Do I really think Filecoin's going to come to 35 cents? I think it's unlikely, but that's definitely, if this inverse head and shoulders fails, you could find yourself at some weird levels that we would have never suspected. So I'm very closely watching this. I don't know if it's going to break out. It looks like to me we could break down. So as I said yesterday, it's finicky. I still think it was a nice bullish close yesterday, but that sometimes is a one-off event, so we don't always know. So good morning, 8:04 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. As we go back and forth, up and down, side to side, all we can do is watch the charts. Watch this basic setup. Right now, XRP's on the top side of this bearish zone, but it's very close. If we go back below $2.18.6, we're back down into that weird spot. In two different spots, we could have fell. We're in zone 1 right now. We'll see if this continues to hold the support on the daily and the 200-day. And now that it's bounced up into it looks like a nice engulfing to the top side candle, because we broke into a new high. A lot of top end pressure. Looks like it is possible to have a breakout today. We're just gonna have to be patient. But unless we see this rising wedge start breaking down, which early on, we're below it right now. We need to see Ethereum make a hold here. If Ethereum comes down, the rest of the market's gonna come with it. And that's the problem, because we can still see these head and shoulders possible setup. And we're looking for a breakout, though. I'll be honest. We're looking for a breach and a push up to about 2863 on Ethereum. That's what we're looking for. But the fact that it's below the area, it's below the resistance of the wedge, we just have to be cautious, because we could see a phenomenal drop here at any time. We do have the golden cross in the shorter time as well. That's trying to validate the weekly, which is good sign. Or, not the weekly, the daily. But that's a good sign, because the daily's got the golden cross, 20 cross, and the 200. And now you're looking at the shorter time frames, trying to emulate it. Now, this is where we should be nervous a little bit. Do we come down now? This is where, if it's going to come down, this would be the great spot for it to come down. This would be the area. So, if you're asking me, I would probably... I'd stay liquid. I would stay liquid here until we get some sign one way or the other, because that's what I'm seeing this morning. So you can do your basic math of where I'm at. Last night I showed it, but I'm not convinced. I showed you how to buy stuff, but I'm not convinced. So we'll see if we get a more convincing moment. But I don't know. It looks like we're kind of caught in between here. So is this the trap? Is this a little bit of a bull trap here from yesterday? Or are we going to work out of that little longer term bear trap we've been in? That's the decision we have to make here. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. I am not a financial advisor, nor do I pretend to be one, nor do I care to be one. But we'll try to figure this out together. It'll be very nice to be in the live today. This is where we're at right now, though. Even with XRP, we're hitting this rejection point here of the breakdown. So this is literally breakdown resistance, and we're looking for that parabolic spike here this morning that could lead us up. But the fear is that we're going to end up reversing down because of the section we're in, and then Bitcoin's going to try to take out this lower level. That's the fear. So few ways to do this. Don't ignore the possibility that this is a head and shoulders topping reversal as we've drawn out.